Hey guys, so today I am doing a monthly wrap up for April. I'm going to talk about the books that I read and then a few shows and movies that I watched as well. So first let's get into what I read this month. So the first book that I read in April was Last Sacrifice by Richelle Mead, and this was the final book in the Vampire Academy series. This is one of my all-time favorite book series, definitely my favorite YA series. So you can imagine that when this book was finished, I was just so sad that I was not going to be reading about the same characters anymore. Yes, there is the Bloodline series, but Rose and Dimitri are not going to be the main focal point of that series, and that's one thing I loved so much about these books. But what can you do? I gave it 5 stars. I loved it with all of my heart. The ending was a bit corny, but it was still amazing, and I couldn't help but gush over it because all the feels were just, I could not deny them. Next, I read The Giver by Lois Lowry, and this was a reread for me because I read this originally in like 8th grade, but I didn't remember a whole lot about it, so it was kind of like reading it for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I was a little frustrated by the ending. I totally forgot how that ending was. I think I gave this 4 stars. Next, I read Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This book was amazing. This is the sequel to Clockwork Angel. If you guys remember from my Clockwork Angel review, I was not a huge fan of Will, but I love him now after this book. I'm totally obsessed, and I just think all around this series is so much better than the Mortal Instruments, and everyone should read this. It's fantastic. I loved this book. 5 stars. Next, I read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this book was just meh. What was he smoking when he wrote this? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to diss him or anything. It's very creative. I will give him that, but it's just, it was hard to follow because it was so weird, and I was just like, I'm going to stick to the Disney version. So I gave this 2 stars. Next, I read Darker Still by Leanna Renee Hyber, and this was just a random read for me. I did not plan on reading it this month, but I just saw it sitting there on my shelf, and I was just like, I have to pick this up. Like, it's just calling to me. This book was really interesting. It was a historical fiction, and it was about a girl who was mute. I thought that aspect of the book was really, really interesting. I've never read a book about a character who was mute. So the story is about this painting that she comes across, and she comes to find out that the painting has a soul trapped inside of it, and she has to figure out how to set the soul free. She finds out that she can come in and out of the painting. She's the only one who can. I really liked this book. I sped through it, and I was pleasantly surprised. 4 stars, and I would definitely recommend trying it. Then I read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I was really excited to read this because it is a classic. For those of you who don't know, this is about a man who kind of has split personalities, but he actually transforms into another person physically as well as mentally. I really enjoyed the story. It was very interesting, and it was a very quick read. I gave this 4 stars. Next, I read Ascend by Amanda Hocking, and this is the 3rd and final book in the Trill trilogy. I loved it. It was a great way to end the series. There is a love triangle in this series. I was really surprised by her choice, but I was very happy about who she picked. And then also in the back there was a never before published short story. It's called Ever After. And I read that as well, and I liked it. It was a little bit too cheesy for my taste, so instead of giving it, I think I gave it 3 stars instead of 4, but it was still really enjoyable to read and to see the characters' lives after the story ended. So yes, read this series. Next, I read Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta, and this was my favorite book of the month. But I have to say, when I first started reading this book, I was a little bit confused, and I wasn't following certain things, and I was like, I'm afraid I'm not gonna like this. But the more I read, the more I just fell in love with the story, with the characters, with the writing style, just with everything. It was so entertaining to read. It was a very quick read for me. Like, literally, I was sitting outside on my back porch, and it was starting to get dark, and I was like on the last chapter, and I was like, I couldn't hardly see because it was dark outside, and I was like trying to read it because I wanted to finish it so bad. It was just, it was phenomenal, and this is one that everyone needs to read. I've said that about a lot of these, but 5 stars. And the last book that I read this month was Left Behind by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins, and I Loved this book. This was such a good reading month for me. This is the first book in the Left Behind series, and it is about the Rapture. The story is about everyone who is left behind. There's 2 different point of views in this story, and of course their stories intertwine. It's crazy, it's drama-filled, action-packed. This book kind of changed my view on little things, and I really like when a book can do that because I feel like I'm really taking something away from it. I cannot wait to continue with this series. I'm really glad that I started it. So now on to what I watched this month. There's only a couple things to talk about, so that's why I just put it at the end of this video. So pretty much the only thing I watched this month was The Walking Dead on Netflix. I watched all 2 seasons that are on there in like 2 weeks. I am so obsessed with that show now. Like, I cannot get enough and I can't stop thinking about it. Season 3 does not come on Netflix until the week before season 4 starts on AMC. I think it's in October. Can't remember the dates. But I will have to watch all of season 3 in 1 week so that I can watch season 4 when it starts. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But I did watch one movie that I wanted to talk about, and that was Love Struck the Musical, and it was an ABC Family original movie. I love ABC Family and their original movies and shows. I usually always love. This was a musical about a mother and daughter who... The daughter is going to get married and the mother's not invited because she does not approve of her daughter getting married. She thinks it's too soon. And so the mother tries to sneak into the wedding and she's trying to figure out how to kind of break up the wedding when along the way she takes some kind of medicine and it turns her young again. And so she comes up with this plan to try to break up her daughter and this guy that she's getting married to by trying to seduce him. And it's really a cute movie. It's corny, that's all I can say, but I still really liked it. It reminded me kind of Mamma Mia. It was a cute little movie, and I would definitely recommend watching it if you're into musicals. So that is it for my wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Netflix is next to do. What is wrong with me? My leg is completely numb right now. Oh. Does that make any sense? I feel like that did not make any sense. Hey guys, it is a historic... why do I always stumble over that? One side is longer than the other and it makes me look funny.